Welcome to
Grab Life by the Horns.
Powered by Legacy Builders Global, and we are Jennifer Pecan and
Jan-Mark Pecan. Welcome to the next episode of Grab Life by the Horns, and this is a special one, I definitely promise you that. And we'll start it off with a quote, which is also the title for today's show. Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. And that's from Dr. Seuss. And with that, we're gonna start today. And now Jennifer chose that topic, so I'm really curious where that will lead us to today, to be honest. And I'll give her with no more, just a word, so she can start. Like, what were you thinking when you choose that? Because I know you got inspired by that quote to choose that topic, but why do you think that is such an important topic to talk about, and what did it change for you so that our listeners can hear that a little bit?
Thank you. Well, to be honest, it was a really tough time the last 3 months, and there was a lot of things in the background. And for those of you who follow us on Clubhouse and on our episodes, might hear it between the lines from time to time, what was happening and all the things like that. So, and for me, it's really personal because I had the experience to have a flashback in one of my most darkest moments in my youth and or young adult, like how you want to call it. There was a situation I remember very well when I had to choose if I stop going to school and go on and find a job or do an education
apprenticeship,
apprenticeship, or if I continue with the school and do my A levels. And I decided for myself, and it was the most important decision, but I decided in really, really difficult circumstances, to be honest, because the decision was being doing this apprenticeship or and living at home, or allowed to live at home, or continue with the school, change the school, and to move out. And at this time I was around 18, and it came for me this it's the same in English, the ultimatum. Yeah, it's so it was really tough for me, the situation and this decision to make. And it was this time around 18, between 16 and 19, it was not easy for me this time, and I think it started already earlier, but this is the time it was really tough for me. And I knew that this decision what I made was really important and good for me, and it's coming to me more and more. And in the last 3 months, I had a flashback and went through all this pain again, because my mom visited us, and she was here for 3 months, and I just figured out some situations and some patterns, and I want to continue with this in the podcast, depending on the questions. I don't want to take everything up front right now. And the thing is that this quote, what you heard, is you start valuing the situations when you can be grateful. And in this situation, it was not a good situation, and I definitely did not value this ultimatum in this moment. But I do value it now more than ever. And it's just now I'm through all of this, I know the importance of the situation back then and the last 3 months.
I know that this time wasn't easy, and well, I mean, right now, the past definitely couldn't be described as not easy. I think that is much more worse than that. But now, when it comes to those patterns, what you guys do have to understand is, we all, as humans, we all form those patterns. We all have them. It's a total normal thing. It's something that protects our brain from the daily overload, because you don't have to think about how to make a coffee. You don't have to think about certain things like in what order you get up, get into the shower, go to the toilet, brush your teeth. That's like usually, if you keep a little bit an eye open, you will figure out that you always do it in the same order. And it's just those things that really help, and we have them in those very normal things as well as in business or in the job. You just develop them. That's normal. But when you see something like what Jennifer described, that is totally different, because those things, you don't really realize the impact of those situations at the time the situation happens. And mostly those are situations that are emotional, very emotional, that are hurtful sometimes. It's usually less the joyful situations that create those stuff, which is an interesting other topic.
That's true.
So when you have to figure that out. So now, how did you realize that, how did you realize that you had this flashback? So that somebody that might be in a I say similar situation where they could go back and maybe harness the power of a bad experience in the past, being with parents, friends, loved one, whatever. But how did you realize that, and how did you break it?
Well, that I realized it, I guess, I realized it yesterday because somebody told me it's a flashback. I had no idea that's a flashback, so I just knew that it's a really, really painful and super exhausting situation, and that the time was really tough for me. And before, I had a really, really good relationship to my mom before. For a long time, it was always with ups and downs, of course, like with everybody, in the family, I guess. It's not always happy. But I had no idea that there is something so deep what could hurt us in this moment right now. So I did really not expect it, how it went in the last 3 months. And then we figured out more and more stuff. There were different situations on her behavior I could not just understand, and I was really what hurts me, and she was she does not understand why it hurts me, because for her it was totally normal. And I have to explain as well that she retired in between, we saw us due to COVID, 8 months
ago, yeah.
8 months ago. And then in between, of course, we developed a lot and we grew a lot, because this is what we do, and this is what we every day what we are working on. So we know that we grew fast, and that we are still growing fast, and that we change a lot on a daily basis. And for people who are regularly around us, this is normal, and they know us like this. And I had a close relationship to my mom through WhatsApp and telephone and all the things like that. But and then she went in the other direction, because she was retired and she was at home, had no the same task anymore, because she was really supportive back then when we were in Germany. To us, and we keep her busy as well with our son. So that changed for 8 months. So she was basically on her own, could do what she wants, and then she was retired. And so basically we developed in different directions. And there were different situations when she came here that I realized that, and it was just, I could not understand why she is doing this and why she does this stuff, what is hurting me. And this discussion, of course, like you always like talk about then the past, and you know, then it came like a sentence like, oh, it was always like this, like I did it 40 years, I'm not changing that. And then you're thinking about all the stuff, you always did it like this. And then there was a point when I realized that that's right, she always did it like this. I never saw this because I was in another role. When I lived at home, I was like depending on her, and I could not see the things. And I really realized that, and I always had I had no good relationship to my father as well, because he was expressing what was not working in the relationship with my mom as well, and in the family. And he was really outgoing with this, I would say.
Well, he was choleric.
Well, I want to formulate it positive, but yeah, okay. But this brings it to the point. And I always gave my father the point that, or like put or blamed my father for this. And I realized this is not the case, and there were a reason why he acted like this, and I could understand his reaction in different situations. And I realized it as well, and I worked really hard the last 3 months on that. And to be honest, like the daily clubhouse rules, they were helping me a lot, because we use this time as well to reflect, and to reflect in a group. And when I had a really tough situation, a tough topic, like on a day, I put it to a topic, and I'm really open. Like usually when I'm moderating, or I'm the main moderator on this day, I'm really open, and I share a lot of private things as well, because it makes it easier for me to go deep into a topic. And I heard, like I was just listening to the people. They gave me advice, and they explained in their situations, and I tried to handle the situation. I wrote a lot of journaling at this time. Like I'm back to daily journaling right now. What helped me as well, and always with the point, like be grateful for what I can be grateful. And as well, when I prepared myself for the conversation with my mom, I always thought about like why I can be grateful, for what I can be grateful. And this I wrote this down, and I told it to her as well. And this helped me to see the positive side of that, and to see the patterns, what Jan Mark already described. What helped me now to break it through, because I realized it was not my fault back then, and it's not my fault now. It's actually nobody's fault. It's just not a match, actually.
So this is very. There were a lot of important points, but this is very important. What you guys have to understand is, and Jennifer is really opening up right now on that story. But what you guys have to understand is that when you look at situations, you have to distance yourself sometimes, because we all blame ourselves a lot for certain things, or we blame others. It doesn't really matter, but the thing is that there are a lot of things that are really nobody's fault, and trying to make it somebody's fault, either your own or somebody else's, robs yourself. And I know that's a pretty hard statement, but it robs yourself from the possibility to do what basically Jennifer did, to reflect on it and to understand the pattern behind, because the patterns, and to overcome those patterns means that you have to be able to analyze the situation, which means you have to take away the blame game. You can't blame yourself, and this is the worst thing, to blame yourself for a situation that happened to you in your childhood, because to be honest, unless you broke a very valuable Chinese whatever porcelain thing, that can't be restored again, because it was like from the Ming Dynasty or whatever, that obviously would be your fault. Well, I would still argue, is like, is it really your fault, or could it just be stored somewhere where you don't get there? But I hope you get the point when you think back on the situation she shared, where it's basically like choosing to make an apprenticeship or continuing with the school, and being threatened with being thrown out of the house. That means that if you blame yourself for that, or if you maybe also, and this is something maybe a lot of you can relate to, myself, as because during those conversations there were also a lot of talk about how difficult she was as a teenager. And that is stuff that we all get told from our parents. It's like, I'm sure that the majority of us has heard that at least 10 times in their life. That we were difficult, or we were there were situations where we didn't behave accordingly or whatever. It doesn't mean that you had to be difficult for years. It might have been only 1 year, only maybe 2 months, and you get blamed for being difficult, and in that situation you usually accept the blame. That's what she did as well. Basically, you just accept that apparently you are difficult and you are blamed for that, but it takes you years to understand that you are not. And this is why I'm expanding this point right now so hard, is because I want you guys to like reflect on it, to look back on it, and to understand that if you get blamed for something, that it's not your job to just merely sit there and accept that blame and say, yeah, it's my fault. Because this is especially when it happened somewhere when you were not like a grown-up. It's a little bit different when you are a grown-up, but even then it's you shouldn't blindly accept anything. But when you are a kid or a teenager, then you definitely shouldn't be blamed for certain things, because this is just leaving an emotional scar. And the issue with those scars is they are invisible, and this is what Jennifer meant when she said, is like she started recognizing that pattern. And maybe you can go a little bit deeper inside of that and say, like, how did you started to see those patterns? Did it start like with the conversation you had now? And then what did you do from that situation until you were able to realize, holy shit, this is like a whole pattern?
Yeah, it's basically all what you already described, like the blaming, like how I behaved, and when I was a teenager, and like this I hear for years, and all the situations, like she called me like on my personality, what she does not like when it comes up when you have an argument and stuff like that. So that makes you think about yourself as well, and I have to say, like, it really changed. And it's like, first of all, it changed if you're working on your mindset and on how you see yourself. And like, there's a lot of things outside as well that you practicing awareness, that you are doing like meditation, yoga, thinking about yourself, and be respectful with yourself, love yourself, and all the things like that. There's like, this was for me, like, before I began to do this, like all woohoo and all spiritual and all the things like that. And because like my parents told me like you don't need that and all the things. But on the other side, when I think back, like if I would take like professional help at this age, like somebody would tell me this for me, that I'm a valuable person, I have the I have the how do you say, like I'm worth it, that somebody loves me and all the things like that. The person would say me this when I would be a teenager as well. Like you have professional help for this, like the psychologists or like coaches, whatever you want to call it. And this is what actually life coaches or youth coaches or like psychologists are doing, is like explaining you how you can see yourself. And this is something I really worked hard on myself, because I know that I had a really bad relationship with me. Like since like when I met you.
It sounds funny.
It
right?
sounds funny, but it is like it was like when we met each other the first time.
That was a while ago.
It was a while ago, and I had really less self-confidence, and all of these things like made me to this person at this time, that I had really less self-confidence, and sometimes you express your insecurity for yourself in a different way. So I was sometimes a little bit over the top, or I was really straight in some points, and like I was just a totally different, actually, that my parents want to have me, and like really focused and super ambitious, because I want to prove them wrong in all the things, like, but too aggressive. And I had all this, like when they did a mistake, for example, and I think you can relate to this, all of you, like when you do a mistake and you say, oh, how dumb you are, and of course you cannot do this. And then with this as well, with my mindset partners as well, they said, well, don't talk to you like this, like stop talking to you like this, because words are so powerful. And I started talking to me with more more appreciation and more love and self-caring. And I did practicing meditation, I did practicing self-awareness. If you write the journals and start writing down what you are grateful for and all the things like that, you start changing your perspective. You start changing your language about the things, like how you talk about different situations, and you start changing your perspective. So what happened was, coming back to your question, when I saw this, is like, of course it was like it hit me in my face when I get all the things back. So, and this is like, I did not expect that. And then with writing these things down and changing the language and thinking about this, of course, and go into myself and think about what was my fault, and always like what I can do better to change the situation. And then you realize, actually, like you cannot. And then there was one advice: you can never change another person. Like you only can change yourself. And I realized, like, there's a gap. Like I cannot be like this, that I can respect this behavior of her. So, but I'm not in this position to change her as well. She is the one. She can change herself. I cannot change her, but she doesn't want to. And then I had to respect that. And she explained me why she can't, and why she don't want. And this is how she feels about the situation. And then when she explained the different situation, how she is, and for example, she is as well a person, like she's always saying nothing about the situation. And I always thought it's about having harmony. I always I did my finding my values, and I did a course about that. And she is of one of this. She's a person who came up in one exercise because of the harmony. And I always was wondering why, like when she is so like when harmony is so important for her, why it's not so important for me? Because harmony, like I love to have like I prefer to have a tough fight, and then everything is clear, instead of like keeping the harmony,
facade.
yeah, this harmony, and goes through and through, and everybody knows there is something not spoken out. So I prefer like speak it out, be straight, clarify the things, and then like it's clear, and then you can have harmony again or not, but then you're separating. So, but make a decision. And I don't love this in between, being in between. And I realized that this is not the value of harmony what is important for her. Basically, she is just selfish because she doesn't want to speak about that, and she doesn't want to work on that. She doesn't want to change the situation. She just wants that the situation goes away, and that she has not to confront herself with the situation. And this is just not my way of doing. And well, I expect that, I respect that, and I accept that. It's just not my thing. But this is something, for example, I realized. And this word, this sentence, and I'm sure like you know this as well. The last 20 years we did this, and in this case it was the last 40 years. I'm like this and this, and I do, and this is what I was focusing on. And then you start thinking, that's right. And then I went back to my youth, and then like, was it really like the last 40 years? And I went back when I lived at home, and I said, yeah, that's right. Actually, she is right. And from her perspective, she is totally right. Just I never saw it because I was in a different role. And this is only possible if you change your behavior to yourself, if you accept yourself in a different way, if you change the wording, if you be grateful, and if you try to see the positive things, then you can change. Then you can put yourself out of the situation and have a look from the outside and get more relaxed on that. So it was a painful journey, but now I'm good with this, and I'm clean with myself.
And this is, guys, this is so important, because she said it in a couple of words, more or less in the middle of that, is you cannot force somebody to change. It's impossible. Okay, it's people either want to change or they don't want to change. They have to have the will to change, then you can help them change. You can help them see other versions of them, see like the circumstances they are in, and like yes, I agree. I mean, there is outside pressure sometimes that helps us to that motivates us to change, right? I mean, if you are in a survival situation, of course you will adapt and you will change because you're forced to. And this is like, but this is not like something you do because you are convinced on it. You do it because you're forced to. And that is a huge difference. And especially when you are talking about, because what we're talking about here is like the parent-child relationship. And we all know that when we grow up, you are always the child, you're always the daughter, you're always the son. There is no change in terms of the perspective, how your parents look at you and how you look at your parents. It's always your parents, and it's always you as a child. So the very important thing here is that you have to realize is, even though you want something maybe better for your parents, you can't force them to do it. It's like even if you have the money and the possibilities to do everything, it's like they probably, even though if they would accept it, they would be very unhappy in that situation, because they wouldn't feel comfortable at all with that. And this is like you as soon as you realize that. But it's the same in your unfortunately it's the same in your partnership. If you are in a partnership, you cannot force your partner to change with you. If you are changing and your partner doesn't change, then you are definitely running the risk that the relationship at one point might end. And that's just a fact. We've seen it over and over again, especially when one when one of the partners takes coaching and self-development and like does everything that Jennifer described with journaling, mindset work, and understanding how you self-work, okay, because that makes it possible for you to grow, because when you understand yourself the best way you possibly can, then you can grow, because you understand where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And just if you are in a situation like that, or if you might see a situation like that, you might want to share that podcast episode with somebody you think is maybe in that situation, because sometimes it's like we don't want to listen to friends or family, but hearing a story like that might help somebody actually to overcome that. We're there as well. I mean, you can shoot us an email, you can contact us, that's no problem. You will find us on social media or so, and we're definitely happy to help on that, because this is, for us, this is a topic out of our heart, because it's so important that that everyone understands that, and that you guys take it in and realize that it is as it is, as they say sometimes, and you can't make anybody grow. You can offer them all the help in the world. If they don't take it, then it's on them. Don't blame yourself for it. Coming back to the beginning, don't blame yourself for the situation of somebody. They can change their situation if they want to, or they can just be stuck in that situation.
Yeah, I just want to like a few things at the end, even though if we are already like over 30 minutes, and I keep it short, but there are some things I just want to highlight here as well. So with parents, you like in most cases you can be sure that parents love you and they just want the best for you. So I had this in my mind as well, and I know as well, even though I had really not a good relationship, a horrible relationship to my father, to be honest, but he did it because he loved me, even though I cannot understand the actions, not at all. And the same in this situation here as well. But I know this was not like a mean, like a mean intention behind. And so this is just like keep it in your mind, and if you are in a situation that not everybody wants something bad if they are not behaving or reacting in the way you wish they would or you expect. On the other side, like we are parents as well, it's a big learning for me as well, because I cannot change my son too. Like if he wants to change, it has to come from him. I just can be a good example, lead by example, and work on myself and give him and show him all the tools, and make sure that he has the best people surrounding him, that he has everything ready, that he can grow and all the things like that. But if he doesn't want to grow, I cannot change it at all. So I have to accept this situation too. So I cannot change anybody except of me. And the other thing is as well, if you have a problem, basically it's like we have one guy in our clubhouse room, he says it's never the system, it's always you. And in this case it's the same, it's always you. Like the change begins with you. Like you have to make sure that you understand yourself and that you know your goals, what you want in life, and that you have to be really clear what is a no-go for you and where you want to go. And if you can make this clear with all consequences, then it's an easy situation, even though like the journey is painful, but it's an easy decision to make, and you will go through this. And you can practice that. For example, like if you remember a situation, or if you have a person in mind, you said, well, oh God, this person, I really don't like this person, and like you get angry and you feel that you get more adrenaline in your body right now when you think about this person. Like think about the situation and write down, why are you grateful to met this person? How did this person help you in your life? How did this person like make you stronger in any way? Because you learned something about the situation. Like, people come to us and challenge us and we are learning. It's not like, I'm not saying they are sent that we are getting stronger, but you can, like, you know, if you believe in that, you can say this as well. Like, some situation and some people come into our life because we, this is a situation, we should grow on the situation. It's like different challenges what we have, and everything makes us stronger. So think about this person. It can be in the past, it can be right now, and write down, why are you grateful for this person, and wish this person all the best from the bottom of your heart, and write it down. Like, it's really difficult if you don't felt like this before. I helped myself in writing it down, and even to write the words was not really easy for me sometimes. And I have different people, like, you know, that I'm at like different situations and different people I tried it on, and with some people, oh God, I just could not write the sentence in the first steps, but it's important. And then with writing and repeating this writing, you're changing your feeling, your emotions to this, you're changing your perspective, and you start feeling that you get calmer. And it's a process. It's a process you have to experience. I can just tell you how I did it, but you have to experience that. And yeah, with that, I just want to end this episode again with this quote again, just that you heard it again. Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. And this quote means to me a lot, even though I found it like just before, but it really describes this journey. And thank you for listening. And if you need any support, or you have any further questions to that, or you need people who can help you with, I have a lot of people in mind. Like, I talked with them about my situation, and they helped me. So I'm more than happy to introduce you to these people. And yeah, so I hope you get a lot of value out of this episode. There was definitely a lot of and I'm happy that I break through the pattern, and that I can basically make a check on this chapter. So thank you for listening, and I wish you a great week, and looking forward to talk to you next week. Bye, guys.
Do you want to get paid? Introducing Legacy Builders Global, where everybody gets paid. We don't create investors. We create legacy builders. Legacy Builders Global. Visit us at www.legacybuildersglobal.com.